Are Black-owned brands really closing, or are African brands just losing their American funding? Today, I want to talk about a brand that has been getting a lot of press. It's been like a symbol of Black excellence. Now, Hanifa has been supported by a plethora of Black-centered media, many times in Essence magazine, Ebony. Now, I didn't know much about Hanifa, and just going based on what people were saying about the brand alone was not enough for me, so we did some research. We'll be talking about Hanifa and digging deep into her branding, who she is, what she represents, and how she moves or maneuvers within this American market and American industry. While looking into her identity, I found it's a pattern. There's a pattern with these Black-owned brands closing. One of Hanifa's most defining moments within the industry was when she had Sierra wear an article of clothing. So from that post with Sierra, it kind of like, created a buzz essentially, because she had some celebrity backing, and not just Sierra. She has a plethora of celebrities wearing her brand.
Celebrities like Fantasia, Kylie Jenner, and Zendaya actually wore one of her dresses on the cover of the September 2020 issue of InStyle.
Make no mistake that these product placements on celebrities is not by happenstance. It's something that is orchestrated within media and in Hollywood. And yeah, these things most definitely just don't come by organically. Usually it's a placement.
I was literally doing everything by myself. I was like, this is too much. I'm done.
Hanifa had the creative vision, but when it came to running a business, she says she felt like a failure, and in 2015 made the difficult decision to shut down her company.
Doesn't that give you deja vu? Because that sounds exactly what's going on now in 2026. And we're going to revisit that. But for now, let's just go over her events in sequence. So from 2012 to 2019, she stays afloat and brands herself through celebrity endorsements, capitalizing off of Black American celebrities. In 2016, Fantasia wore Hanifa for a live performance at the BET Awards that she refers to as her first big moment. Somewhere between 2018 and 2019, Kylie Jenner and Lizzo were both spotted wearing Hanifa. 2019, the brand made $1 million in revenue. So that milestone happened right before her viral 3D show.
Where did you get this concept from? That was your pink label Congo collection, the fabric, the movement. How did you envision doing that?
For about 8 years, Hanifa ran her brand without really publicly acknowledging that she's from the Congo. She did not explicitly reveal this. It was something that was kind of hidden for like the 8 years. And when she finally debuted that she is from the Congo, picture this, around that time we were in the pandemic and there were a lot of like restrictions as far as like people getting together. So she didn't have a regular fashion show. Basically a silhouette of the clothing without any faces. So think of Black bodies, but no faces. Unidentified Black people. She called it the pink label. Now the pink label has something to do with the mining and the Congo. So in the Congo, they have these materials that are used for iPhones and other technology, and you can only find these materials in the Congo. So they exploit the children, and there are a lot of bad things that happen with the children that go to these mining places, and a lot of them pass away and things happen. It was supposed to be something that brought attention to that movement and link her together with something traumatic, to strengthen her Black branding identity, again, through trauma. But my thing was, how do you market your fashion show talking about the Black label in the Congo within basically an AI rendering type of fashion show? And there's a whole lot of crazy stuff with AI happening. And then I think I remember when it happened, I wasn't really impressed, because I just feel like, well, there goes the jobs for the models. Like, you don't even need the models anymore. This is kind of like the beginning of that, of models kind of going extinct. And like, I don't want to say, it sounds really dramatic, but just like they're marketing an environment where they no longer need actual people or actual Black women, or they're just kind of blanking out the person's identity, and then you're just using their Black bodies. And then on top of that, we're using our iPhones to watch this fashion show. I just kind of feel like the branding and the overall theme of that was just not really, I don't think it was well thought out, because don't we have those cobalt materials in iPhones? And how are we helping the problem if you're kind of, intertwining this dystopian AI type of fashion show, trying to leverage with the crisis that's happening in the Congo, and entering fashion, and you're like, hey, you want to help the children of the Congo, buy my dress. I just kind of feel like if anybody else had did that, you guys would be like, oh my God, that's horrible. Why would you do that? But because she's acting in black, it's like, okay, well, the rule of thumb is we can't criticize her because she's black, even though this is a woman from the Congo. And that whole don't criticize her too much because she's black is an American thing. That's not something that people really cater to outside of America. So we have our American culture and how we treat American women here. She's getting these benefits without really having the ties to America. And in essence, pretty much they enable that by just labeling her and flattening her identity by calling her, just saying she's black women. So during this time after her viral 2020 fashion show, I came across this article from CNN in 2021. In the article, Hanifa says, when I started, I didn't want to be labeled as an African designer because they are placed in a separate category. She's saying she didn't want to be labeled as an African designer because of inequity. When you think of black-owned brands, what do you picture? What do you think about? Because when I think of black-owned brands here in America, I think of people connected to this country, a specific type of trauma involved in black businesses and black-owned businesses. Like, we have a whole historical context as to why black-owned businesses are a thing here in America. So when we put all that together and we think about it, who comes to mind? In general, with these black brands that Essence and all of these other Essence-like media companies, I noticed that the black brands that they feature are very ambiguous about where they come from. Why this ambiguity? Hanifa explicitly said that she did not want to be known as an African designer. And I just feel like it sounds absurd. It sounds crazy. Could you imagine me saying, I don't want to be known as black? But actually, that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. She wants to be known as black. She doesn't want to be known as African until she got that capital, until she got that money and the accolades through blackness. And I'm just like, is that okay?
Some of my best ideas comes from, difficult times.
Right.
And I've been fascinated with the 3D technology for some time.
There was an article in Forbes magazine that set off a scandal when the magazine wrongly credited a whole nother company with having the first virtual runway. People were furious. Coming to your defense, what did you learn from that controversy? Because we hear so much about artists having their ideas taken or stolen, and in this case, you experienced it firsthand, whether it was deliberate or not.
A week after my show was when, the murder of George Floyd happened, and then the Black Lives Matter move. So to me, it felt super tone deaf because, I think every single black person in the world was feeling so overwhelmed with so many different emotions. And then, this article comes out so quickly, and then it's just like, here goes another form of erasure. Here we go again.
I think it's very ironic and interesting that Hanifa is bringing up or talking about erasure within black media while also benefiting completely in the black-centered media from the crisis of the Congo and also the murder of George Floyd. She was able to benefit from all three of those things and also get to be the spokesperson for black people in America or black business owners in America. And it's even more ironic because we don't get to have those same benefits. We don't get to benefit from every or multiple angles at one time. So you get to be the spokesperson, you get the funds, and you get the media coverage. I've also noticed that around 2020, a lot of these black-owned brands or African immigrant brands, they got funding from the George Floyd incident, the George Floyd movement. A lot of industry corporations were looking to, put on a good face and say that they were helping these black people by giving them VC backing, so venture capital. On the surface, it sounds nice. It sounds like, okay, that's really sweet. That makes sense, right? But one, this was not publicly advertised to everyone. There was no marquee event that people showed up to get this VC funding. It was not advertised like a festival. It wasn't advertised in your magazines or anything like that. It was basically like, industry knowledge, and they were able to shuffle their cards and shuffle the people around to, get that venture capital. And the majority of the people that received the venture capital for their Black-owned businesses were African women. In 2021, CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund picked 10 designers. They selected 10 designers, and the majority of the people that were selected were either African-born, Caribbean-born, or they built their entire brand identity around the African heritage. And the person that helped pick and help decide who made that list, her name is Aurora James. When we take a look and see who was in the room making decisions and who's getting the funding, it's a reoccurring pattern, and it's definitely not a coincidence. Majority, all of them are African women, and if not African women, maybe someone of an elite American status, but even then it's very slim to none. Most of these women were first gen African women, and they lead with their branding in Black. They lead with that. It was reported that Hanifa did receive the $50,000 CFDA fund. Hanifa does advertise her brand as something that was started without external funding, but in DC, a founder can receive DC immigrant business development money, and the press will still phrase it like Black woman built this from nothing. That's a selling point. And the only way that this can be verified if she received funding is through a FOIA request. So, yeah. It's a possibility she could have got funding on the back end, and it's just not reported. If everybody that is getting funding and media coverage are acting in Black and they're all African immigrants, what is that saying? What does that say about this industry? And what does it tell, or what does it signal to the people who want to be in this industry and want to design and want to make art or content? What is that saying to those people? There are a lot of layers to this. It's not just about being African. It's African with the elitism, with the support. Those are the people that are featured in these magazines. So what is that saying? If you're not any of those things, you just never have a chance. And if that's the case, let the audience know. I want you guys to see what's happening. We can't just flatten Blackness and be like, look, this is for you. This represents you. And it doesn't represent you at all. With these brands, their entry point was trauma. Everything with fashion and Blackness here in America is very political. So I can't help but look at it through a political lens, And because of all these things happening in the administration, it sounds like they're losing their funding. And because they're losing their funding, Essence and other magazines are going to be like, oh my God, it's racism. They hate Black people. That's not true. But you want us to get riled up. You want to enter our hearts through trauma and get the support that you need to save your African immigrant brand. You can't make this up. That's exactly what it's saying to me. She deliberately said she didn't want to be known as African. I think that's crazy, but okay. Hanifa's brand is cloaked in multiple layers of protection. So much so, you can't even critique her business tactics. So fast forward to 2026, after one Black Friday sale, all hell breaks loose. People aren't getting their packages. There's been a lack of communication. It got so bad that people brought it to the internet, and it just became a can of worms, an open can of worms. All these things started to come out because, one, people are afraid to express their grievances online, especially when it comes to brands that are supposed to be Black owned. You're not supposed to critique those brands because they're Black owned.
You know how they would understand if Hanifa.co sent them a fucking email about it. It's nothing to write a little blurb to the people who literally have orders that's not marked as fulfilled, because you can see the ones who did the pre-order and you gave them a range and it went past the range. You are supposed to strike while the iron is hot, even before it gets hot. You're supposed to anticipate these things. They could have sent an email. They didn't. They were radio silent in regards to the pre-order. You gave them a range. It went past that range. You said nothing until everybody started talking about it on social media. And the thing is, the consumers waited. They waited. They gave her grace. Not only did I not receive my original order, but now my money is trapped under Hanifa as store credit. And then now I can't even buy nothing because the business is allegedly on pause. Like, please.
You have to also understand how grace is deserved and should be provided to Black businesses and Black women-owned businesses at that, who oftentimes are doing the most with least. The smallest amount of venture capital, bank loans, investments. Keep this same motherfucking smoke you have for Hanifa for Jeff Bezos. You get shipped an incorrect item from Amazon when the item comes to you broken, when the package is lost in the mail. Oh, but you don't want to fucking do that. That trash you just got from Shein that was made for a landfill before it even reached your fucking house, you're okay with that.
This lady sounds so dumb. Amazon and companies like Amazon do have a return policy, and you can get your money back. I don't know who this little bald head lady is, but she is a Hanifa believer, and she's loud and wrong. She's just going to defend it at any cost. It doesn't even matter if her response make any type of sense. She's not trying to make sense. Her goal is, hey, stop talking about this Black-owned business, even though it's being ran like any other scamming type of business. This situation is very special because she has multiple layers of protection. This is an African woman that in the media can do no wrong, as getting support from all angles, and she came back to the internet like, y'all, I'm pregnant. You're making me so sad by talking about me. Like, why are you guys talking about me? I'm and a lot of these Hanifa believers came online in her defense and really just critiquing Black women about how they are so eager to tear down another Black-owned business.
Internalized anti-Blackness is fucking real. Get you a hobby. Get you a business. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have the fortitude to see anything through. Besides some recycled bundles that you found on TikTok Shop.
And I'm just like, if only we got all these perks of being a Black-owned business. A lot of us will never have this type of media coverage or support. And we damn sure won't have the grace of people not being critical of our brands when we, have poor business practices or poor business tactics. A lot of Black girls, a lot of Black American girls do not get that benefit. We don't get to cloak ourselves in that.
Hanifa announced that it's shutting down for now. Maybe it's not everyone's concern, but something that truly makes me sad is that all of this unfolded while Hanifa was 9 months pregnant and now freshly postpartum.
I'm sorry, I won't be convinced. And the way that girl just played in our face, the girl really said, fuck you and your money. What do you mean Hanifa closed her doors indefinitely? 15 years of you being in business, bitch, and all niggas said was, hey, can we get these fucking packages one day? Hey, I ordered a small, why is it large? Hey, I ordered a medium, why is it extra small? Hey, why did you make this dress for a 7'7" giant? You made dresses for Yao Ming, bitch. 15 years you couldn't get that shit together, and niggas are calling you out on it, and instead of fixing your business, you close it indefinitely. Oh yeah, we're just not gonna do this anymore because people are holding you accountable for having shitty business practices. Is fucking crazy.
Hanifa is not beyond reproach just because it is a Black business. There are two main issues people have with Hanifa, which is one, delivery times or lack thereof, and two, sizing. But one big component of pre-ordering is that you are supposed to give your customers a delivery window. I mean, people were ordering during Black Friday and like still haven't received their items, right?
Hello, my name is Hanifa and I'm the CEO and creative director here at Hanifa. I am currently on maternity leave. I just had my baby boy about a month ago, so we are responding to the emails as quickly as possible. Thank you guys so much for your patience, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to make this right.
Essentially, it's not about one person or one brand. It's about an overall pattern within this industry and the reoccurring theme with these Black-owned businesses that are closing. They are advertising trauma to Black American women, to the Black American consumers, because that's the entry point to your hearts and your dollars. I'm just seeing a industry pattern that you guys should be aware of, and I want you guys to make a choice and tell me what it means to you. But Ami Colé lost her business last year, 2025, and there's the Essence framing us. Oh, a black woman loses her business. You had all the girls from Kensington Gray and all your other African icons and beauty were speaking on her behalf, like, oh, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. You did nothing wrong. This girl had no real branding, no real footing, not a real following, and she's just working with the venture capital corporate people, hoping that they just kind of like, support her with their funds, because she doesn't really have a real, connection to Black American women. There's really no real entry point to get your support other than trauma. The bulk of her support came from New York. A lot of Black Americans don't live in New York. A lot of them are in the southern states, and what happens often with these brands that are centered in New York or centered in California, they're kind of like by themselves, and they're the bulk of the people that they're advertising to are other immigrants, and that's probably it. I had never even heard of Ami Colé until she was going out of business. The conversation shifted to blame the Black American girls, the Black women, like, hey, you didn't support her, so that's why she's going out of business. Like, no, she had a bad contract. They exalted that brand to points where it could not go. She didn't really have a real footing. You're in a Sephora with Rihanna. Rihanna has her own legacy and her own fan base. Ami Colé does not. You never actually worked on that. You never actually developed that. She's barely even on TikTok advertising her products. The least that Rihanna was doing at one point was advertising her products. She was on Instagram doing videos. Ami Colé to this day still haven't really, done any videos to support her brand or really create a true identity with her brand. And then to top things off, she went over there with Kim Kardashian. How do we get the whole sad Black woman lost her business thing, and then now somehow you become like, she has a very high position over there with Skims. I'm like, now that don't match up. How are you leading with, oh, what was immigrant woman, to being over there with Kim Kardashian? Are we supposed to celebrate or what? I don't really know. I just feel like it's the same pattern. They bring you in with the loss of a brand because Black women don't understand loss and trauma, and then they flip it and they do something that has nothing to do with the branding. It's a bait and switch. I talked about this on TikTok. To sum everything up, I believe that Hanifa was never truly a self-sustaining business. I believe she was working at a deficit. The brand was running on institutional support. She got grants, and I'm sure a plethora of quiet corporate partnerships. So that Black Friday pre-sale was just enough to collapse it, because it was never started to begin with. I believe that this is a model that corporate has created to check off that black box. They bring in a foreign African or Caribbean woman, they exalt them, put them all in the media, position them as this Black woman building from nothing, and they funnel that institutional money to the brand. They get Black American consumers to invest emotionally and financially, and then when the corporate interests move on, the brand fails. The entry point to Black American women is always trauma. That's how they access the Black dollar. And, using words like generational wealth and equity. But the generational wealth and equity is never reciprocated. We are never in those rooms. Black American women are the market and never the beneficiary. So Ami Colé, Hanifa, two different women, two different founders that use the same structure. This type of foreign blackness gets exalted and then abandoned by corporate. And then the people that helped them and supported them through their journey are never invited, and we're never in the room. I know this is a lot to take in, but I'm just calling it how I see it, and I just want to be very upfront and forward with you guys. And I'm just like, I'm not here to change the whole dynamic of what's going on here, because the system that we are operating in is much older than me and you. But what we can do is be knowledgeable and be aware of the true landscape of Black marketing. Months ago, I told y'all I was going to come back with a full picture of the Kensington Gray and their connections and who gets featured and who gets that and this. Kensington Gray is still a factor in this whole web, but the middle of the circle would have to be Richie Lou Dennis. And there will be an upcoming video, a real deep dive of who this man is and what he's connected to and what you guys need to know about Essence 2026. And yeah, I have way more information now than I did before, and this is going to be a great documentary. So stay tuned for that. But this concludes the video. I hope you guys learned something. You know, if you are viewing this from outside of the US, you know, you can comment and let me know what you think about this. Half of you guys probably already know about these elite African circles and how they operate within America. You probably already know this, but if you have any more information that you want to give me, let me know in the comments, or you can DM me and tell me some things. I'm always accepting ballots. You guys love to send me information, and I love that so much. You guys are always on this journey with me. I get so happy when I do these videos. You guys really participate and you give me great information. I really appreciate it. So yes, submit the ballots and let me know, and I'll read them out loud and we'll include them in the video. You never know, you might get a shout out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all next time.